Let's talk about how gender develops through the lifespan. In childhood, the amount, timing, and intensity of gender socialization varies for boys and girls. Boys tend to receive earlier and more intense gender socialization, so they're more likely to hear more often and earlier things like, oh, boys don't do that, or be strong, be brave, don't cry, that sort of thing. And the social cost for deviating from these norms is higher for boys than for girls. So if a boy is playing with a fire truck and puts on a firefighter costume, no one really cares, or they might even praise it. But if a boy starts playing with an Elsa doll from Frozen and puts on an Elsa costume, people lose their minds. There is much more flexibility in gender roles for girls, as I've already mentioned. Boys might also have a more difficult time learning their masculine gender role because male models are less accessible and the messages are not always consistent. Adolescence is when gender role issues really start to spike. There's something called the gender intensification hypothesis. This says that psychological and behavioral differences increase in early adolescence, so there's increased pressure to conform to traditional masculine and feminine gender roles. Adopting a strong masculine role in adolescence is associated with problem behaviors. So, this is in the sense of if someone is obsessed with trying to prove that they're a manly man, this tends to be associated with problem behaviors. And for both boys and girls, extreme gender typed behaviors are linked with lower school engagement and attachment. If you've ever seen the movie Mean Girls, she keeps considering joining the math team, and everyone keeps telling her, you can't join mathletes, it's social suicide. Because no matter who you are, you just can't win with that situation. For the girls, it goes against the extreme gender stereotype that women aren't supposed to be good at math. And for the boys, it's not something manly like football or other sports. So we can get really hyper obsessed with silly things like that in adolescence. And so it's just, again, that idea that those psychological and behavioral differences between men and women really begin to increase. Things start to calm down eventually in adulthood as we age. Some of the things you might see in terms of differences are differences in communication styles. Again, all of these things are on average. This is not necessarily true for any given person. But one of the things we might see, for example, is the difference in rapport talk versus report talk. So some people prefer to engage in rapport talk. The purpose of rapport talk is conversation. It's a way of establishing connections and negotiating relationships. It's calling someone up, to talk to them just for the sake of talking to them or getting together for lunch with a friend just to chat. By contrast, the purpose of report talk is to convey information. Women tend to enjoy rapport talk more than report talk, and vice versa for men, although research has yielded mixed results in how extensive these differences may be. But if you've ever had a friend complain to you about something and then get frustrated when you try to offer advice, it's possible that they were trying to engage in rapport talk while you were engaging in report talk. They're expecting to hear something like, oh man, that stinks. You must be so frustrated. But instead they're getting, have you tried doing this, or this? Or as another example, my brother-in-law loves to engage in rapport talk. He will message me on Facebook and just want to chat, and I really don't like to chat. I'm a very report talk kind of person. You can say, "Hey, let's get together for a cup of coffee," and I'll be like, "Let's not." So my poor brother-in-law. I am unfortunately one of those people that you'll send me a whole paragraph in a text message, and I will just respond with "okay." I mean, if you didn't have a question, okay, message received, information received. I don't know what else you want from me. Thank you for the information. Does that complete your order? I'm so sorry. So yeah, just be aware of rapport talk versus report talk.